Hello, everybody. It's great to see so many of you on this call. We're excited to be putting out this RFP for cities to host a future park study tour. And I just wanted to say how important these park study tours are for the field at large. We were just down in uh, uh, two cities who are interested in hosting a future Greater and Greener conferences. And, I just continue to be struck by the power of parks to help our communities thrive, especially during these challenging times. What's so unique about, and our staff will talk about this, about the study tour, is that we're really trying to capture your stories and to help us understand how, parks and recreation and your systems are really transforming your cities to spur economic development, to make our neighborhoods healthier, to bring nature back into cities and all the great things that we all know that parks do. So again, I just wanted to welcome you. Thank you for your interest. Thank you for the work that you do day in and day out to make our cities better places to live. And with that, I'll turn it over to Camly Tram, who is our program manager.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Camly Tram. I'm the program manager here at City Parks Alliance and helping to plan the park study tours. So I want to start with an overview of what a park study tour is. It is an intimate experience with other urban park professionals to explore another city's urban park system. It's our most fun and exciting in-person programming. People love them, and attendees usually sell it out. Over 2.5 days, the tour will introduce the people behind the parks, multiple vibrant park spaces, and highlight the partnerships that make these park spaces thrive. Attendees visit a diversity of parks that can include green infrastructure, splash pads, public art, open spaces, wildflower fields, playgrounds, and so much more. We work closely with the local host team to gather a network of local people for attendees to engage with and network. It is not only a positive experience for attendees, but also promotes the great work happening locally. Overall, the park study tours are very educational. You learn a lot, but it's also where people meet and have a really good time. The goals of a park study tour include highlighting new approaches to park design, management, programming, funding, and partnerships in parks throughout the city. We want to feature how parks and other urban green spaces are used in climate resilience and equitable investment strategies for park systems. We want to show the strengths of partnerships that are community-led, interagency, or cross-sector, and how partners involved are able to leverage resources to uplift parks. Our goal with these tours is to create networking opportunities for Alliance members and also the urban park local community, and engage and connect and learn from each other. There is structured and unstructured time to come together and share learnings over the 2.5 days. If possible, we want to highlight park projects that are funded by the National Park Service through the Outdoor Recreation Legacy Partnership Program, which is a grant program funded through the Federal Land and Conservation Fund. The tour is limited to 35 to 40 attendees. It's a really good mix of folks. They typically include park and recreation professionals from the government, nonprofits, other city departments, from design agencies, urban landscapers, really good folks. And we like to keep the size relatively small, again, keeping it really intimate so that you really get to walk away with really deep relationships. Here's a list of previous tours. They include Chicago, Los Angeles, Denver, Toronto, Cleveland, Austin, St. Louis. If you go to our website, I can drop the link in the chat later, but we have in-depth summaries for Cleveland, Austin, and St. Louis if you really want to taste on what attendees were able to explore and how local host cities were highlighted. We also want to share that we have an upcoming park study tour in Houston this year. If you're interested, it's coming up in October 22nd to the 24th, and registration opens in May. In 2027, we will be selecting 1 to 2 cities for park study tours. These will take place between the months of March and October, with at least 4 months in between if 2 cities are selected. Our plan is to have at least one of the tours featuring an ORLP funded project. We have a current CEA agreement with the National Park Service. If that agreement changes, we'll change those requirements. But if you have specific questions about that, you can reach out to us. And I will pass this on to my colleague, Gideon.
Thanks, Camille. And if you don't mind to keep advancing the slides, that would be great. I'll just give you a cue. So all of this is in the RFP, which hopefully you guys have downloaded from the website. And we'll be sharing, the links to this, the recording of this presentation as well, to help answer your questions. But I'm going to go over some highlights from the RFP requirements now that Camille and Catherine have given you sort of a background of the purpose and the goals of the tour. So I just want to talk a little bit about the host team. For the host team, we're really looking for some combination of the local city park agency, maybe citywide park nonprofit, and maybe some of the key or bigger park conservancies or individual park nonprofits in your city. We've had the tours that I've been here for as program director, Austin and St. Louis. In Austin, we had the city and a large nonprofit. In St. Louis, we actually had a combination of 4 nonprofits. And for the Houston tour we're doing right now, we have the citywide park nonprofit and 5 conservancies that are involved as well. So some combination of that. But you could also think about either on your host team itself or maybe in a supporting role, organizations like your urban design firms that you work with that are closely involved maybe in the design of your parks, philanthropic organizations maybe that are big funders, same with corporate partners, any aligned issue advocacy organizations that are big supporters of the work that you all do, maybe some community-based organizations that you work with in neighborhoods, and maybe some park agencies or partners in adjacent local jurisdictions. Not every metro area is a different size. And, when we go someplace, as long as it's not too far away, we're also interested in what's happening in the neighboring jurisdictions, particularly if you guys are close partners and work together. And then also any national organizations that may have a presence, or federal and state agencies that have a strong presence in your region that you work with and that are part of your park's story. All right, Camille, next slide. So the things that the local host team does is to work with us here at the Alliance on developing the program over the 2.5 days, figuring out where we're going, what the story is, working through the timing of that itinerary and all the speakers that are going to be involved. And then, of course, executing that program when we come to town with our 40 some odd guests and our staff and our sponsors. There is a local host fundraising requirement. So we're asking that the host city can come up with, or the host team can come up with at least $25,000 to help fund the tour's budget. And that could be through payment by the local host team or any local sponsors that you guys have that go to us. The budget, we've set the same fundraising goal for us to help raise from outside the jurisdictions that we pick of $25,000. And then there's a registration cost that raises about $25,000 as well. So we look to the local host team to come up with about 1/3 of the overall revenue for the tour with local funding. And then we work really closely with you guys on all the communications and marketing. We're happy to be leveraged in any way, shape, or form to help promote the work of the host city and take advantage of the opportunity that having folks from around the country coming to tour your parks can present. Next slide. In terms of the instructions for the proposal itself, we want to make sure that at least one member of the proposed local host team is a City Parks Alliance member in good standing. And if you're not sure if any of you are, then you can certainly email our membership folks at that membership@cityparksalliance.org email just to confirm all that. But it's very important for us. It's sort of a qualification for applying that at least one member of the local host team is a member of City Parks Alliance. Next slide. All right, so the things that we're looking for, there's like 12 things we're asking for you all to write about in the RFP response. And so one is just tell us who is the lead partner and who are the other organizations that would comprise the local host team, and then who would be the project manager. We need somebody on the local host team to be sort of the main point of contact that is knowledgeable enough and has enough authority for us to work with. And we want to know kind of who that person is that we would be working with. We also would love to hear who you think the other partner organizations you might collaborate with on the program and what their respective roles will be. So that whole list I gave earlier, who are the folks you work with that you'd like to engage with to help develop the tour. We'd also like to hear about where you think the money, the local host funding might come from. So, who are the likely candidates for that? Is it because they're a line item that you could work into the city budget? Is there a foundation that would like to support this? Is it just all of the partners kicking in a certain amount of money? If you're able to get any pledges, that's even better. But give us sort of the list of who the most likely candidates are. And if you have a sense of how much, that's great. But it's just helpful for us to kind of see who do you think would be helping to get to that $25,000 requirement. And then we want to hear about some themes. It would be great for you to identify at least 3 themes that really highlight what's unique or special about your park and recreation system, and the success that you've had in design, development, programming, funding, and partnerships. So it's great to come up with a list of all the things you'd love to show us, but if you can distill that a little bit and say, these really highlight some themes. And next slide, Kenley. And we also would love to hear about how it could be helpful to have us to do an event with us in your city and bring 35 or 40 experts, leaders from the Parks and Rec world around the country to your city. Again, it can be a point of prestige or something you all might be able to kind of leverage or tout, or even pick the brains of while we're here. So we'd love to hear about how you think it could be beneficial for you all to have our presence and the presence of the attendees. And then here's that list I was talking about. We'd love to hear about maybe 5 to 8 sites that could highlight and tell the story of your city's park and recreation system. Would be especially great to get any examples about the roles they might play in climate resilience or in your equitable funding strategies. Again, we're looking for summaries of this stuff, maybe 3 to 5 sentences of each, but that list of tour sites that, again, might inform, going back a slide or so, what those themes could be. And as Camley mentioned, under our cooperative agreement with the National Park Service that's helping to support this program, it's really about also helping to tell the story and promote how the RLP funding has been used for parks around the country. So for at least one of the possible 2 tours that we want to pick in 2027, we want to make sure there's an opportunity for RLP funding to visit a park that's received it. If you don't know, we've got the list of all of the ones that's ever been funded so far. And it would be great to get a couple of sentences describing what that could be. And I just want to point out here that if it's not in your city, but you have a neighboring jurisdiction that's just as good to us. And that can help maybe tell the story of what's going on in your metropolitan area. So if you have not received any RLP funding in the past, but you have a neighbor in your metro area who has, then maybe that's a good reason to partner with them on the proposal response. Next slide. We also want to hear your thinking about when it would be the best time for us to come. So this is not locking in anything, but it's good for us to get a sense of, what's maybe the more convenient time of year or better weather. So we'd love to get a minimum of at least 4, weeks that could work for the tour. We like to do them anytime from Tuesday to Friday date combination, I think is our optimal one. And again, as Camley mentioned, we're looking at between March and October just to kind of stay away from winter travel around the country. So obviously, depending on where you are in the country, the weather might be a little bit different. We don't want to be sweltering in the heat and having to run water bottles out to sweaty attendees in the middle of summer in certain parts of the country. If we do 2, we just want to spread them out and try to get about 4 months or so in between the 2 of them. It would be really, really helpful. We're looking to hear about where we might stay. So we want to have one hotel where we put everyone in, we sign a contract with, we get a group rate. Sometimes we use them for meeting space or meal space. So it would be great to get a minimum of 2 hotels, if some information that could be ideal for us to be using as our lodging. Any pricing information you have about them. Really, a marketing sheet from the hotel would be fine, and that would not count against the 12-page limit to the RFP. That it's a sort of an appendix document. But thinking about where we're going to be going and where there's a lot of activity, where it's an exciting part of town, things we could walk to maybe for meals, or things for folks to see the day before or the day after, that would be really helpful for us. And then similarly, it would be great to get some suggestions. No offers needed, but maybe some recommendations where we could do dinners or reception sites that could hold 65 to 70 people, potentially walking distance. If not, we use a tour bus, for the tour, and we try to keep that to 1 bus to help with the intimacy of the experience. So it'd be great to know, some maybe they're in a park, maybe they're not, but sometimes we do a program, where we have a panel or something like that too. So your thoughts on those would be really helpful for us to see as well as we review the proposals. Next slide, Camly. So the deadline for proposals is going to be Friday, May 9th at 8 o'clock Eastern. I think that's 5 o'clock Pacific time. And we're looking for a PDF with no more than 12 pages. Not counting against that would be any supplemental hotel info, which you can just add on. And you could send that to the programs at City Parks Alliance email address. Okay, next slide, Camly. So yeah, just to fill you all in on the timeline for the process. Once we get applications, we might reach out to follow up with any questions to clarify things in June. And then we want to make this decision by the end of June. So we'd let everyone know whether you're in or out. And I'll say, we'd love to pick 2 in 2027. And if we get a 3rd one, that's really fantastic, and we don't want to say no to, and it works, then we might be open to even picking 1 for 2029. We don't like to get too far ahead of ourselves in terms of the years out in advance of our conferences, but I think we'd be comfortable with a 4-year gap, 4-year lead time, as long as the host city would be comfortable with that. We know mayors change, parks directors change, economics change, but if in the past, I think we've done it that way a few years in advance. And if we're just, really blown away by a 3rd city, we may talk to a 3rd city about maybe doing it locking in a 2029 slot as well. All right, next slide. All right, so that covers all the things that we wanted to highlight from the RFP, but we are happy to use the next 40 minutes, if you guys have 40 minutes worth of questions, to help clarify anything in the RFP or questions you have about what we're looking for. If you want to use the raise hand feature in Zoom, I believe it's under reactions. Is that right? Yes. So you can raise your hand. We'll pick on you. You could also type anything into the comments. And if we call on you, great to just show us your face if you're able to do that as well. So any questions for anyone? Oh yeah, and Camly, if you could also put the link in the chat to the 2025 Houston page. We don't have the full itinerary in there, but we have a lot of details there if you want to see where we are currently on in our event planning. And then it's the RFP page as well. Yeah, and I'd say, the only other thing that we're thinking about is probably trying to go to places we haven't been to before, but that's another really important point I want to make. Of the past 4 cities that have hosted Greater and Greener, 2 of them have hosted a study tour before they were awarded the host of Greater and Greener. And that has been really, really helpful for us and building that relationship, doing a smaller scale event with them, seeing the city, seeing some of the venues, seeing hotels, but most importantly, getting the opportunity to work with the host city and their partners and the team. That's been really, really valuable for us. And it's made us comfortable selecting those cities. In this case, it was Denver and Austin to host Greater and Greener, which, obviously is an order of magnitude bigger in terms of the number of attendees, 1,200 or so compared to 40. The fundraising requirements, maybe 10 times as much for Greater and Greener. But having the opportunity to do a smaller scale event like the study tour has given us the confidence to, and a lot of great intel about picking a greater and greener host as well. So keep that in mind too. It could be a great kind of testing, proving ground to see how we work together and if we want to do something bigger again in the future. So any questions from anyone? I see Jess from Grand Rapids. You can unmute.
Hi. Obviously, I'm going to ask the CVB question.
Yeah.
How many sleeping rooms do you think you're going to need, and ideal rates,
Yeah.
and
Great.
meeting space?
Great question. So I think for Houston, Camley, we estimated about 100 total room nights. We're probably going to go more than that. So I'd say 100 minimum. Um, the two middle nights obviously are the peak ones, and then we do a smattering on the shoulder nights, Jess. But we also like to get the rate for a couple of days before and after, because we kind of encourage people to stay. So if we do like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So you could do Tuesday to Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday configuration. We're doing the Wednesday to Friday configuration in Houston with the expectation or planning that some folks are going to want to stay into the weekend as well. So I think it's a minimum of 100 room nights, and we'll know a little bit more once we get through Houston in October, how much uptake we get on extra nights. But is that helpful?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And rates. So the question on rates can really vary wildly from city to city. 300 can be a lot of money. In some cases, it's sort of 300 a night can be a lot, could be unavoidable. I really, really want to keep it under that if we can. I know we're talking 2 years from now. I think rates below 200 they feel like a great deal. Rates in the 200 feel pretty standard. 200. I mean, Jess, you're in a better place being from the CVB to answer that. And obviously you're in a little bit of a smaller market than some of the other folks on this call, but I think, yeah, that's kind of, it's a wide range because it really differs a lot by market, but the registration cost is not cheap, and they also have to pay for the hotel on top of that. The study tour provides all the meals. So there's one meal the first day, 3 meals the second day, and 2 meals the next day. We provide 6 meals as part of the registration expense, but there's the airfare, there's the hotel, and there's the registration. So we are looking to keep the hotel costs, reasonable market rate, and hope we can work out a good deal with the hotel.
Yeah, awesome. And then I know you mentioned possibly using meeting space. Is that just kind of like a put it on your radar, but we don't know what we need right now?
That's right. It wouldn't be part of the package that we're looking for at first. I'll give you guys a little history there. In St. Louis, we ended up getting breakfast both mornings as part of the hotel registration. It ended up making life a little simpler from a budget perspective and for the host teams planning. We're not doing that in Houston. We're going to have breakfast on site for the tour instead. And in St. Louis, we also started the day each morning with like an hour kind of orientation presentation and panel discussion in the hotel in one room there. So it's a great option for us to have if we need it, but we're probably not our first choice. But it's just nice to know that a hotel has that option for us.
Awesome. That's
Cool.
the end of my questions.
Great. All right. I think Gordon is next in Denver.
Hey Gideon, how are you?
All right, good to see you or hear you.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, a quick question.
Yeah.
I know we did a study tour like 1,000 years ago, feels like, and then we hosted Greater and Greener a little bit ago.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm on the call is because we just happen to have a lot of things that we'll be completing in 2027, and I think really meet the things you're asking for. So,
Yeah.
is it acceptable for us to apply again?
Well, because I opened the door up to 2029, I feel like that gives you guys a little more of an opportunity there. I don't want you to spend your time on something that we wouldn't go for. I don't know. I may see if Catherine's comfortable weighing in on that because there's maybe other cities on this call that have hosted before too. Catherine, it was 2014 that Denver hosted the study tour and 2019 that we were there for Greater and Greener. So that's why I thought 2029 is 10 years since Greater and Greener. But do you have any thoughts to help guide?
Yeah. Hi,
Okay.
Gordon. Thanks so
Hello.
much for being on the call. Yeah, I think what we want to do, as I mentioned at the beginning, is really provide opportunities for cities to share their stories that maybe haven't been profiled in the past, but it would be like 2029 would be 10 years. And I think that's a comfortable amount of time by which people would be seeing new things in your city. So, again, we don't know which cities will be submitting proposals, but if we did get a lot of proposals for 2027, I think we would be inclined to, and yours was one of them, we would be inclined to explore with you about the possibility of doing something in 2029, just to give other cities a chance to share their stories that haven't been able to do so so far.
So you're going to force me to delay my retirement. Is that what you're saying?
That would
No,
be
I'm
good for
kidding.
Denver, I think.
We've had that situation in the past with
That's
that
funny.
other city. Actually, a park director stayed on. So
That's great. All
yeah.
right. Well, thank you for that, and I understand. Yeah.
Thanks, Gordon. All right. Other hands, other or anyone. There's no cue. People can feel free to unmute and turn their cameras on. I'd say also you can email me or Camly or the program's email if you have any questions. So, there's a 5.5 weeks or so lead time. But we haven't done an RFP for a study tour in a really long time. I think the last one was the process that we ended up selecting both Austin and St. Louis. I think that was back in 2019. So it's been a good 6 years. The proposal process is a little bit more formalized now. The budgets have gone up. The itinerary has gotten a little bit more detailed, and just expenses have gone up since 2019 for all this stuff. And we've learned a lot over the years that we've been doing them too. So we just wanted to be more specific about what we were asking for this time and hopefully steer you guys in the right direction without making it overly onerous. That's why we try. The page limit is really about just keeping you all from having to burn too much energy and just go crazy asking for spending time to do more than is really necessary in this process. And as I mentioned, there's a give and take too when we get things when we get responses that we're reviewing and we're not sure about something, or we want to explore something or get some of the flexibility, examine what are the flexibilities, we'll just reach out to the proposers and with a list of questions and kind of talk through it, or just have you guys send us the responses. We have a review panel made up of staff and some of our board members who will be making the recommendations. And it's not as intensive a process as the Greater and Greener one, but it's really important to us. As Camly said, it's one of our most popular programs. People love it. It sells out, and it can lay the seeds for future opportunities to do bigger things together too. And one of the big takeaways for folks is just the relationships they make over those 2.5 days, because both with the host team and the other attendees, because it's a fun, intensive experience together over a short period of time. All right, if there's no other
Gideon, I just
questions,
have
yeah,
one more
you
point
bet.
before you close, and that is, again, we want to emphasize that our worldview is one where we're looking at parks and recreation as a way to help cities be more resilient, more equitable, and to support thriving communities. But don't be shy about telling us, wh- what the tour would mean for your city. We know that all cities are facing challenges these days, and how this opportunity also could help you as a community with people coming in to look at your city to explore some challenges. So it's really about learning, honest learning, sharing with each other, and you don't have everything doesn't have to be tied up in a bow. But I think authenticity, what is your story? That's going to be what the review committee is looking at.
Yeah, that's a great point, Catherine. I probably didn't mention it because it's so embedded in all of the programming that we do. But if you think back to anyone who took, college philosophy, Aristotle's state of becoming, the state of becoming is a really great state for us to visit you in, where you are sort of waist deep or neck deep in some of the process of doing impressive things and not 100% sure of how it's going to turn out. You're in the throes of it, in the thick of it, and you can share very honestly with the other attendees what you're learning along the way, how it's going, setbacks, course corrections, all victories along the way, all of that. So that is something that you should, if anything, highlight in your proposals. To share with us the path, the journey that you're taking to your successes, and not everything that we see has to be a finished success. We can see things that are in the state of becoming, works in progress as well. All right. Well, I don't want to belabor this any longer than it needs to be, because you all have members and taxpayers who are wanting your time. So we're going to post a recording. You can download the RFP if you haven't already gotten it. And we're happy to take questions via email and just help clarify anything and try to make the process as easy as possible. Thank you guys so much for all being interested.